So tell me, like, I mean, here, like, a lot of people kind of disregard animation, like, cartoon hai bachchon ke liye.
जी.
It's like it's for kids. It's not
Mhm.
for like. I mean, I love animation. Like, I've never been into Japanese anime, but I've enjoyed pretty much. I even like. I mean, like, one of the shows that I love the most is an animated show. It's like
Mhm.
a BoJack Horseman.
It's amazing.
It's a
Yeah.
fantastic show. And I
It's
even
so
tell my
good.
manager that she reminds me of Princess Carolyn. Like, she's exactly Princess Carolyn in like a nutshell. And I keep telling her to watch the show because I'm like, you remind me of that character. It's so real and but it's animated. And
Mhm.
like, what kind of work goes into producing an animation?
Animation, especially the kind that we're doing, is very, very labor intensive.
Mm.
Um, because it's hand drawn. Every single frame that you see on screen of the characters moving, emoting, talking, jumping up and down, doing those things, that's all drawn by hand. So, you have to be a very good artist like, you have to have a firm understanding of human anatomy. But even if you're a good artist, you still need to have an understanding of movement and specifically animation movement. So, there are a lot of technicalities that go into exaggerating human movement in animation to make it pleasing to the eye and just make it interesting to watch. So everything is drawn by hand. And then the backgrounds, so the setting, all the art direction, everything is painted by hand to get the composition and the framing. And there are about 1,400 shots in our film. So every single one has about 50 drawings each shot. And then a hand painted background, in many cases, a very big background to get movement in it. So very, very labor intensive. Animation in general, even if it's CG animation, again, is also very labor intensive. I guess the priorities are just different for hand drawn versus CG.
I have to take a moment just thinking about 1400 frames took me
Yes,
away. Like, I actually don't know what to even say.
1,400 individual cuts, and
Individual
then
cuts.
in each cut, there are about 30 to 40 frames of animation. So you can do the math and see how much
I'm
work
doing the
it
math.
is.
I'm gonna show this episode to my father because every time I say I want to go watch an animated movie, he's like, oh, that's for kids, and I'm like, now when he's gonna listen to this, he's gonna be like, I'm definitely going out to kind of watch this film. Um, Tell me a little bit about like the expression, because I mean, expressing through animation and then expressing like storytelling and like expression through like how do they differ like in for you, like for like a motion picture versus an animation motion picture, how does the expression differ in both of them?
So again, in animation, the the filmmaking around the animation is so different from live action because in live action you have your director. I'm directing this film, but you don't have actors to work with. The animators are the actors essentially. How the whole process starts is obviously you have a script, you have your world building, so you do your art direction, your character designs, but then I have to draw the entire movie out, almost like a comic book. So those 1,400 individual cuts were actually 1,400 storyboards that I drew with very detailed character designs and environment details in there so that the team can then take that forward and improve on it and build on it. But you don't have actors to work with. So you don't have ideas that you can bounce off. Maybe an actor can bring a lot to a character just by the way they move on
Yeah.
screen or the way they want to say a line. In hand-drawn animation, the animator working on that shot is the actor. They have to bring that movement, that characterization to each individual character themselves,
And that
and
expression as
and the
well.
expressions exactly. So there's no one to bounce ideas off of. You just have what you can draw, and if you aren't able to draw those things or execute those things, then obviously that shot is taken away from you and somebody else does it who can execute the vision that I had planned for the shot, or I do it. But we have a very, very good team. So animation director in the world of animation is also a separate term. So I'm the director of the film. I I am an animator as well, so I do a lot of the shots, but our animation director is a separate entity entirely as well, where he oversees, Amir Rifat, our animation director, oversees every single thing being done on the floor with the animators or our outsourcing partners to get the character designs and everything to match up with the character design team, etc. So there's a lot of hierarchy that goes into each individual cut that you see on screen. Like our art director, Mariam, she plans out all the backgrounds, all the lighting, everything else. Our character designer puts the consistency in the characters. And then managing this whole thing is our producer, Khizr, who is just like, it's like a complete circus. Many times while I'm working on a shot, and he just walks through the studio and he looks at me and then looks at the studio, everyone working, collaborating. It's chaotic, but he taps me on my shoulder and said, "This whole circus, it's your fault, Usman." Well, I'm very grateful. Like I said, I have an incredible team, and we're working as hard as we can.